Hello folks, in this video I'm going to be talking about a few things. The court case delayed again. It was delayed last time because of the wrong sheriff, and it was booked in for today because that other sheriff was supposed to be back. Well, she wasn't there today, so they've delayed it again. Well, actually, I think I probably said last night, I think it's going to be delayed again, and it has been. So yep, okay, I got that right. I felt God was saying it'd be delayed, so okay, it has been. Yeah, so all the things I was waiting to be answered, I'm still waiting to be answered, because yeah. Yeah, what's going to happen first, what's going to be answered first, I do not know, so time will tell. But yeah, okay, so the video last night, yes, yeah, I said in the title that was an absolute honour to do. Well, last night I knew I had to do a video on that subject, and I tried about 3 times to do it, but brain just wouldn't work. I couldn't even say words. You know, persevere. I couldn't even say the word persevere. I was saying persevere. Couldn't even get to it at all. So yeah, I basically stopped the video and deleted it 3 times. And I just went to do something else, and then thought, okay, try again. I just felt it was right to try again, so I did, and my God, it went beautifully. Yeah, as I said before, some videos you just know, as soon as you finish that video, you know, bing, that one has, yeah, that video was exactly. Yeah. Well, if I was to rank the videos I've done at the best and the worst, that one would be right up the top. That one about Romans 5, 3 verses 3 to 4. Yeah. Yeah. It was incredibly honourable to just talk about, you know, my experiences of that, and certainly over the past year, what God has been doing through that. Yeah. Well, put it this way, you can certainly see my heart in that. But what is actually very interesting is that, yeah, that one where I spoke about the church service, and yeah, where the pastor and a few other people in the churches weren't happy because I swore in the video. In that video, you can see my heart in that video, but you can see it in the opposite way. That was anguish and pain, whereas last night was just love. You know, it was, yeah, it was soft and cozy, and it was, you know, everything pretty much. You know, the ones last night, that's the sort of video that I love to do. That's the sort of subject that I love to talk about. Yeah. Yeah. Indeed. Anyway, so what was on my mind earlier was about, I've spoken a lot about pastors. So I've spoken about a pastor before that I think I should bring back to the conversation. Robin Williamson. He lives in Maidstone in Kent, in England. And yeah, what a person. What a human being. I mean, you know, I've talked about these pastors that we have, and how they I think in most cases, definitely most cases, they wrongly see themselves as an apostle. And as I said, to me, that's complete BS. They put the label of apostle on there in order to say, well, the reason why we're doing all the jobs is because we're an apostle. Now, the reason why you're doing all the jobs is either your ego, or because when you took the job, all these jobs were put on you, and you didn't want to say no. So it's one or the other. It's either your ego, or it's because the church put all these jobs on you, and rather than say no, you just said, okay. So rather than say, I've took on way too many jobs, no, I'm an apostle, so I should be taking on all these jobs. Yeah, that's rubbish. That's complete nonsense. I mean, well, because as I say, you look at the fruit. You judge it according to the fruit. And yeah, you have to look at the fruit of the situation. And so not in every case, there will be cases where that isn't the case. Yeah. But this man, Robin Williamson, my God, what a man. What a human being. So loving, so kind. His degree of kindness was just wow. I haven't spoken to him for about 6 months, but hopefully is. I need to speak to him again. Yeah. He is someone who was a pastor. I think he still is to a certain degree. He is of the age where he could have retired, but I'm not sure if he ever did. But he didn't see himself as a teacher, as a protector, as the lead or the guide, the person who would guide you or lead you. He didn't see himself as any of that. He just did what was on his heart to do, to bless people, to be there for people, to be a shoulder to cry on, someone to lean on, to be compassionate where compassion was needed, to be absolutely and totally non-judgmental with people. Just wanted to be a blessing to people. That's what his life was. And that's a pastor. That's a pastor. All this crap about a pastor is a leader? Nope, they're not. No. No. That is a pastor. Yeah, Robin Williamson is a pastor. To me, he is... Well, as I say, I've had 28 years, and he is so far ahead of any other pastor that I've ever met. In the way of his nature, who he is as a person. But that's because he's focused just on that. Well, I was thinking about it earlier when I was laying down, trying to take the worst of the tiredness off. And I felt God was saying, the thing of it is, with him, he is as he is because he's just done that. With other people, because they've tried to be pastor, leader, teacher, guide, protector, etc., 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 what they're supposed to be ends up being nothing. Well, Manuel is a perfect example of this. Manuel potentially was always a great teacher, but he was at this Pentecostal church here, the Community Church of God in Elgin. He'd been there for 10 years. 10 years. At the end of his time there, people weren't laying hands upon anyone. They had no understanding of the spiritual at all. According to someone at the church, they were worshipping him. Now, him as a teacher, he should have helped that church to walk. Because that's the job of a teacher. To teach you how to walk. To teach you how to input that, what's in the word, into your life. And he failed completely to do that because he was trying to do all this other stuff as well. So what he was supposed to do ended up being worth nothing at all. And leading to absolutely nothing. Because of the fact that if he had focused on just being a teacher and other people had done the other roles, he could have been a phenomenal teacher. Now, of course, anyone who is a pastor who sees himself as an apostle, are they going to listen to this and say, that's me? For goodness sake, have I got it so wrong? Of course not. No. Even if they have got it so wrong, they're not going to see it. As I say, it takes God to do that. I'm simply saying this man, Robin Williamson, didn't do any of that. He focused purely on his role, the role that God had for him, and my God, did he do it. Yeah. An incredibly gorgeous man in his nature. Really beautiful. And I hope he makes it. I hope Hope he's still here when the Lord comes back. I really do. Because I think he will have a massive role to play in that period of time when the Lord is reigning upon the earth. I said yesterday about, if you've been someone who has been bowing down to people, then you're going to be bowed down to. That man, yeah, he's a man that deserves incredible respect for what he's done and for the way he's lived his life. Let's say he was in that church that I mentioned, St. Luke's Church in Maidstone. And the pastor, while I was there, the pastor was the one who was actually the pastor of the church. Goodish teacher, he had those jokey ways about him. People liked him because he joked. He was quite funny in that way. But the one who was actually him, the teacher one, he had no compassion, he had no empathy, he had no love at all for anyone else. Well, not in that sense as a pastor. He didn't have any of that at all. None of it. Not one little tiny bit of it. And yet he was put there as a pastor. And that's because of the fact that church understanding is, if you've been to Bible college, you're the pastor. And the pastor is the leader of the church. No, they're not. No. Let the pastor be a blessing to the people, because that's the job of the pastor. Yeah, you have generally speaking, you have the physical healing and deliverance. Well, that's usually done by people who lay hands. But the mental and emotional healing, that's the pastor. That's where the pastor comes in. That's where the pastor does that. Well, that's where the pastoral team does that. That's how it should be done. You can't do that. You cannot in any way, shape or form take care of that. If you see yourself as the pastor, the teacher, the protector, the guide, the leader, everything. If you see yourself as everything in that church, you can't do one thing as you're supposed to. There is no possibility whatsoever. I mean, as I said the other day, you got a lot of people who seem to think that they are superhuman, that they are heroes. Well, we're not. That's the point. You're not. Manuel was a good example of that. I mean, it horrified me. I did a video about it in May, I think around May, that I hadn't seen him for about 6 months. I walked past the church, he was there. I went over and said hello to him. He looked aged. He looked as if he had aged at least 15 to 20 years. In the 6 months. He looked haggard. He looked absolutely knackered. But you're going to be if you're carrying all that stuff. I mean, of all the list that any pastor will give you as to what their job is, you've also got husband, you've also got father, you've also got all the other things that are listed. I mean, for goodness sake, that's just ridiculous. I mean, if you look at actually the list of what any pastor would give you as to what their job title is, what most will give you, the ones who see themselves as apostles, is the role of God. Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been doing videos for a long time, and for a very long time now, I've been saying, no, if God at any point in time says to me he wants me to go to a church, if they try to put anything on me other than what God wants me to do, I say no. If they insist, I walk away. I will leave that church to die. I'm not going to bloody well put myself through that. I'm not going to carry stuff that's going to crush me. No way, shape or form. I've seen what it does to other people. And I see that as, well, it is foolish. If you're doing it and it isn't God who's put that on you. Well, I said years ago, a bloke called Blair Crawford, who was at one point the director of the YMCA in Bournemouth. He's not anymore, but he was. But while he was still quite heavily involved in the running of that YMCA, he became a local councillor. He was also working as assistant pastor as well in a church. So 3 huge jobs. And no, when I spoke to him, I just said, please check that God wants you to do all these things, because they're all massive jobs. If this isn't God, this is going to crush you. If it is God, you can handle it. So please check. And other people said, no, you should have just congratulated him. No, I'm not going to do that. If I think there's a possibility he could be taking far too much on, I'm not going to say, oh, well done. Well done, clever boy. You want to crush yourself? Oh, well done. No, I'm not going to do that. No, but as I say, I've been incredibly blessed in seeing Robin at work. Robin Williamson. Seeing him at work, has been an incredible blessing, because I've seen how it should be done. I've seen the nature of a pastor, the true nature of a pastor. And just focusing on being a pastor, and woof, what a job he did. And that's the thing, really. This is why, as I say, with Manuel, had Manuel just focused on being a teacher, that church wouldn't be where it is. That church would be a damn sight further forward than where it is. I have no doubt about that whatsoever. If he had focused on just being a teacher, if he had just focused on what he's good at, just doing that, and not took all those other burdens on top of him, that church wouldn't be where it is right now. And there are going to be stories all over where you could see that in the people that are leading church. If they just focused on what their skill set is, because you can see with people very quickly what their skill set is. Are they a good teacher? Are they a good pastor? You know whether they're a good pastor by how they deal with stuff. I guarantee you one thing. If I had a walk and talk with Robin Williamson, he would never have used anything I'd said to him against me. Even if he was trying to protect another member of the church, he would never have used anything I'd said against me. He wouldn't be phoning me up just to have a go at me about things that I'd said in videos. He'd want to make sure that there was relationship first, and we focused on relationship. Then, if he's going to call me to task on something, then he would do that. Because that's the point. Be the example. Because if the point is I shouldn't be speaking to someone, that I should be speaking directly with them once I've built a relationship with them, then surely the pastor's going to do the same thing. Build a relationship with me first, then speak to me about that. No? Okay. You expect better of me than you're willing to do? But that's the point. Robin Williams' job, as far as he saw it, was to be a blessing to people. That was his job. He didn't see his job to protect people. He understood that that was God's job. And so he focused on blessing people because that was his job. And it's been an honour knowing him. I've spoken to him probably only about 5 times in the past 10 years. But every time I speak to him, he's always delighted. And he's always a delight to speak to. So I'm going to have to phone him. And I'll do that in a second, actually, try and phone him. But So, be guided. Certainly, as I say, do not take things on you that aren't supposed to be on you. And all this point that people think that if they have an interview with a church and that church wants to put all this stuff on them, yeah, that must be God, because God has brought them to this church to save it, so therefore God must want them to. No. Again, it can never be the job of a human being to save a church. Never. That has to always be the job of God. Now, if you are a skilled teacher, if God wants you involved in bringing that church from where it is to where it needs to be, He's going to bring a pastor along. He's not going to expect you to do 5 or 6 roles. He's going to bring those 5 or 6 people along to do it. But if you take those roles on you, He won't be bringing 5 or 6 people to do it, because you've already taken them. There are no roles available. You've taken them already. And it's all to do with fear. Doing that is to do with fear. Believing that if I don't take them, nobody will. Well, who are you trusting? In the end, it comes down to trusting God, doesn't it, really? Yeah, my voice got a bit higher. In parts of this one, yeah. And when that happens, you know, there's a bit of frustration. Yeah. But yeah, as I say, that's in me, and so you're going to get that from time to time. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I say. Be led, be guided. Yeah. Certainly don't take stuff on you that isn't supposed to be on you, because that's incredibly foolish to do that. It will crush you in the end. Why put yourself in that situation? Trust God, that God has everything under control, and He can bring the people that need to be brought to do the work. You take care. God bless. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.